Now, if you made it to this video, you made it through the election. Congratulations. Are you a Democrat or a Republican? That's what we're answering today. Hopefully you've asked yourself this question at some point. Hopefully you've researched and came to some conclusions as to where your values lie. Well, we want to make this a fun video, so I actually have a scoring system. And based on the scores and what interests or values you tend to lean toward, I want you to give yourself 1 point. And at the end of the video, I'll put up the scoring and you can kind of determine whether you're Democrat, strong Democrat, Republican, strong Republican, or maybe you fall in the middle. So you'll be able to decide yourself. And here are the 7 topics that we'll discuss. And I want you to go throughout the video and I want you to tell yourself or take a score or kind of determine which side you lean on. First topic is economic policy. Now we're going to focus on taxes and spending. So we're going to look at it from a Democratic point of view. They tend to believe and support a more progressive tax system. What does that mean? Well, high earners are going to generally pay more. You advocate for government spending on healthcare, environmental protections, and social welfare to basically decrease inequality, right? We want to even out the playing field. If you're more Republican POV, you tend to favor lower taxes across the board. Tend to favor a more even playing field where I shouldn't get taxed on how much I make in terms of if I make more, I shouldn't be taxed more. I should be incentivized to go out and produce more in the economy. And we all should get taxed the same. Obviously, if I make more, I would be paying more. Next one is healthcare access and the government's role in healthcare. Now, if you're a Republican POV, you tend to favor a market-based approach to healthcare where, for instance, individuals can choose flexibility in their providers and the type of plans that they have. You probably tend to believe that government involvement should be limited. You argue that competition can lower cost and generally improve the service quality without government intervention. Okay, a Democratic POV, you tend to support expanding healthcare access through public options. Many of you advocate for a universal healthcare system. You believe generally a fundamental right to healthcare access, and the government should play a role in ensuring affordability and accessibility. It's environmental policy, and we're going to kind of lump in climate change and clean energy and how you think about that. Here's the Democratic POV on environmental policy and climate change. Now, you tend to prioritize environmental protections, supporting policies that limit emissions, that possibly promote clean energy and address climate change. You tend to see climate action as essential to both environmental and economic sustainability. You often advocate for renewable energy investments. All right, Republican POV. You tend to prioritize economic growth over strict environmental regulations. You tend to support energy independence, including oil and gas and coal production. And you're generally skeptical of extensive climate change policies, preferring voluntary or market-driven environmental solutions. So next one is education and school choice. Now, the Republican POV, you tend to often champion school choice, including voucher programs and charter schools. A lot of times you argue that competition improves education quality. You tend to believe parents should have the option to choose their schools, which could also drive improvement in public schools. The Democratic POV is you generally advocate for increased funding into public education. You probably aim to increase or improve resources and outcomes for all students. You probably support federal and state investments in public schools, and you're probably more skeptical of privatization or voucher systems. Then we have civil rights and social justice. Now, from the Democratic POV, you typically advocate for policies that support civil rights and social justice. This can be protections for LGBTQ+ individuals, racial minorities, and gender equality. Now, you probably prioritize legislation and programs aimed at reducing discrimination and inequality. From a Republican POV, you tend to support individual liberties, but you're often more skeptical of what is perceived as overreach in social policies. You probably emphasize personal responsibility and equal treatment under the law, and you often oppose things like affirmative actions and government mandated diversity initiatives. Most likely you're not a big fan of DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion. Next up, we have law enforcement and public safety. Now, if you're a Democratic point of view, you tend to support criminal justice reform, focusing mostly on addressing systemic issues like police accountability and reducing incarceration for non-violent offenses. Now, you probably support reallocating some law enforcement funding to social services to address root cause analysis. Now, the Republican point of view, you generally emphasize a strong law enforcement presence and you support increased funding for police departments. You probably believe this is essential for community safety. Generally, you probably oppose measures you see as weakening law enforcement or compromising public safety. Now, last but not least, we have immigration policy. We're going to start with the Republican POV. Now, Republicans generally prioritize border security, and you like strict enforcement of immigration laws. You often call for stronger measures to prevent illegal immigration. You're generally supportive of legal immigration, but you emphasize the importance of upholding the rule of law in immigration policy. The Democratic POV, you typically favor more compassionate approach to immigration. You advocate pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, especially for those brought to the U.S. as children. Now, there's nothing I love more than giving my unsolicited opinion. But in the case of this video, I'm holding back as hard as it is because I want you to be as objective as possible. Where are you at on the spectrum? Are you Democrat, Republican? Are you somewhere in the middle? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when I drop new content. I'm telling you, the content is about to get dope and doper. I'm out. Peace.